I have 40 minutes of everyone's time, so I'm going to try and give you as much value as possible in those 40 minutes. So, the title today is extremely deliberate. Wouldn't you just love to be told exactly what to do with AI? And that's because that's pretty much what I hear day in, day out from business owners. Just tell us what to do. We just don't have that clarity that we need moving forward. And that's exactly what I am going to provide today. So, within the next 40 minutes, I am going to promise you will understand why most AI initiatives fail and fail to deliver any return on investment for a business and how to avoid it. Show you the proven framework for successful AI implementation. And that will be a step-by-step roadmap from no understanding of where AI fits all the way to having a fully operating AI ecosystem within your business. And I'm also going to show you exactly what AI looks like in real businesses today. So I've got a couple of case studies for businesses and clients that we work with so you can see how AI is actually being used day by day. So to begin with, a bit of interaction would be awesome. So this is something called Menti. If you scan the QR code, or Kira's going to send a link within the chat to something called Menti. This is where you are going to answer this question. So when someone mentions AI strategy, what's the first word that comes to your mind? If you could just scan the QR code, use that code, or use the link that Kira's provided in the chat, I would love to see what you think when you think of AI strategy. Interesting. So to share this with you, I'll talk them out as they come through. They're completely anonymous, so you can put whatever you want. Planning, automation. Automation's come up a few times. Confusion, uncertainty, opportunity, risk, technology, purpose, clueless, overwhelm, scary. Ooh, real or made up. I like that. Ahead of everyone else. Wow, okay. Really interesting. Really interesting. 13 responses so far. Innovating, authorization. Interesting. Okay, so there's a real mix. However, there is a theme that is occurring. There's the opportunity side of things, and there's the scared, confusion, unsure, no clarity side of things. So today I'm going to try and make AI strategy seem so much more clear so that by the end you're feeling what's your one word around AI strategy, and it's maybe excitement or like opportunity or clarity would be great. So one of the reasons I feel that there's this feeling that AI strategy is just such a mysterious term is there's a lot of failure out there in AI. A lot of people are doing it really, really wrong. And I am going to say that I've seen a lot of it. When I say really, really wrong, this could be from the perspective of it just doesn't create any return for the business and it loses them a load of money, most common. But there's also the data side of things and it becoming messy from that perspective. So let's look at why AI fails. So there was the statistic that came out, MIT, probably about 6 months ago, and it said that 95% of AI pilots fail. We don't want to be in that category. So the first reason that most AI pilots fail is there is no plan. For some reason, AI is treated as something completely different than any other business project. People fail to create a plan, a strategy, and most importantly, fail to put any success metrics within that strategy. So, one of the main problems that I'm seeing across most businesses, anywhere from sole traders to businesses literally doing hundreds of millions in turnover, is they don't have the metrics to confirm, okay, was this project a success or not? So, for us at 50 Minds, we have a development team, and the development team use Claude Code. So that is an AI tool that helps with coding, essentially. It's an incredible tool. However, when we were adopting that, I looked at how much we were estimated to spend. It was quite significant. It was in the hundreds of pounds per month. And I thought, okay, for this to be really worth it, I need to be knowing that our developers are saving X amount of hours per month. Quite frankly, Claude Code is incredible and it saves a ridiculous amount of time. But to have that clarity means that every time that that comes out of the bank account, I can say with confidence that that was a great investment and I can see the return. So making sure that those specific business outcomes are measured, and it's almost like signed off as yes, we can continue to use, we should continue to use because it continues to reach our goals. That's what matters. The tool first approach is a problem when it comes to your AI strategy, not looking at the actual problems that your business has, but just looking at the tools that are out there. That can become a huge problem because you end up just saying that tool looks really, really, really cool. You could spend hundreds of pounds on a video tool that's made for brands and marketing, but actually that doesn't actually serve your business purpose. It wouldn't serve us. So we're not using things because it's cool. We're looking at, okay, what are the problems the business is facing? What are the bottlenecks for us? Solution development time is a bottleneck. So that's something that I really wanted to free up. And instead of being like, okay, let's hire more, hire more, hire more, we're looking, okay, how can AI help us until we then need to make that next hire, saving a significant amount of money. Strategic misalignment. So when you're creating your AI strategy, this should be alongside doing it with your business strategy. They are one of the same, I would suggest. So for us, it is the same document, it's the same piece of work because it's so intertwined, especially as you're looking into the future, looking at where your money's being spent. So you need to look at your expenditure on AI, looking at the return you're getting from AI. And as it becomes more agentic, it's treating it almost like a cost of a person, a HR cost, becoming an employee as such. So making sure that your strategy that you have for your business is aligned with your AI strategy because AI can make your business much more efficient. So it needs to be part of the bigger plan. And no uptake plan. Again, if you've got a team, this is so important. Having those metrics around who's actually using this. It's all well and good me paying for Claude Code and thinking, oh, I don't think it's working. Nobody's actually doing anything faster. Well, I need to make sure that they're actually using it to its full advantage and that that's a consideration when it comes to the evaluation of is it useful or not. Do they have the skills that they need to be able to use it? And secondly, the second biggest reason AI fails is because of trust. And that can come from multiple places. But again, from that mentee earlier, there was a concern about risk, scary, uh, things to do with security risks. People have that concern with AI. And not only will you have that concern, but likely your teams will have that concern too. So how can we mitigate that lack of trust and make this not a problem and not a reason AI fails? One of the main problems is not trusting the data that it uses. So an example of this is a construction firm that we're working with at the moment, where they send out tenders daily. They write tenders daily. And it's creating a tool that uses all of their tender documents they've ever done, and it's creating a tender writing tool on top of that. That's sort of it in simple terms. But if it's using half-written tenders, or it's using a tender that you sort of wrote half of and then didn't bother finishing it and just stored it away, or it's your first draft that you had written, or you used ChatGPT to write a very first draft of the tender and that's what's in the document. Well, then the data that's being used is not going to be correct. Therefore, it's going to create some pretty bad outcomes. So, data being clean and organized is going to hugely help with trust. And then leading on to that is the lack of transparency. So, again, with that tender tool that we were building, it's we need to know where AI got the response from. So if it's brought forward an example of a project that they've done for this tender application, you need to show where that's coming from because otherwise you'll need to go and search for, okay, just to make sure that's correct. Okay, I'll go and find that bit of documentation. It needs to be surfacing the sources. That is a key part of transparency when it comes to implementing AI within a business. And then the team. So if you're part of a team, running a team in a leadership role, for them, the use of AI can be helpful. It can relieve a lot of stress, but it's also a really big concern for them. It's also something around jobs. People are concerned about it taking over their jobs, and they also don't want it to become one of those things that makes their life even harder. So it's how can we make teams feel empowered and really want to use AI? Because trust me, I've seen the businesses that create this culture around AI and they love using AI tools is a brilliant culture to be part of. One of the main ways that I found mitigating this teams not feeling empowered is having them very early involved in the AI strategy, in the AI plan, and the tools that they'll be using day to day. So again, this construction tender example is we sat down with the people that are actually writing the tenders and they got to sort of steer the direction of where this went. They pointed out pitfalls that could come up and things that they find particularly difficult when it comes to writing tenders. So not only did it empower them and they felt like they were part of this AI tool that's being built, it made it so much better. Made it so much better. And then all of this prevents this hidden cost that if you don't have trust, people won't use it. People will go and manually double check the output that it's producing. So they may as well have just written it in the first place or done the task in the first place. And actually, it can end up negating efficiency. So that's what we want to avoid. We need a plan with metrics and we need trust. So back to Menti. For anyone that's just joined, scan the QR code or use the link that Kira put in the chat. What is preventing your business from having a clear plan? So if you scan that QR code or use the same link that you used before, it will still work. What is preventing your business from having a clear plan with AI? What's blocking that? Feel free to use the QR code again on screen. Okay, they're starting to come through. Time for implementation, misaligned systems, business decision makers concerned about using AI in any processes, cash flow, yeah. Lack of understanding, data security concerns, lack of understanding as a start, not knowing where and how to use it, what areas it could benefit, lack of business strategy, wanting to use it for everything, but not understanding the compliance and governance issues. That's really interesting. Understanding which AI technologies to leverage and where. Perception that people are recognizing AI generated output. So very hesitant. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. So I think overall, the themes that I am getting from this is not just having an idea of what you're even going for, which is exactly what we're going to be looking at next. So that leads in really well. Yep, that lack of understanding. I think the perception around AI is really interesting, one that seems to come up a fair bit, the perception, whether that's externally or internally. Compliance and governance, absolutely. Cash flow, that's one that I can touch on because I understand that most businesses, well, for every business, it doesn't make sense to put a load of money into something as a guess. We don't want to be doing that. And I've got a solution as such for that. And time to actually implement. Really interesting. So the main thing has come up and leads really nicely on, but I'll touch on a few of those different points actually as I go through the framework that we've got. So hopefully that can push you in the right direction, help you have that clear plan. So this is the framework. This is what we've built over time at 50 Minds that helps you get the result that everyone wants, which is secure AI driving business outcomes. So we want AI that is genuinely helpful, genuinely profitable, but it's done in a secure and governed fashion. To get to that point, we're going to start at the very top. This will make sense in a minute. We're going to start at the very, very top. So we want secure AI driving business outcomes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transport you 5 years time. We're 5 years down the road in your business with all the things that AI can do in terms of knowledge work, in terms of everything that's pretty much done on a computer that doesn't involve a human definitely having to be involved. Humans being involved for physical operations, so me talking to you, or us having a conversation out in person, or me doing a scaffolding job. And so we've got the physical operations, we've got governance, so humans needing to be that governing body. AI can't sign a contract yet, so it's being that liability essentially. Humans being used for strategy, overall strategic thinking. So you have all of this data in front of you, you're getting AI recommendations and you're driving that strategy. And that's what the people element is going to be used for. So those relationships, physical ops, governance, strategy, creativity. Most other things, if you're in knowledge work especially, is going to be done by AI. So I find that really helpful to think far into the future, ideal world, what are humans definitely going to be needed for, and then what is everything else? And where does AI play a role in that? That's thinking hugely into the future. You don't just want to implement that. Absolutely not. That's why there's a framework. So from that end goal, we can then look, okay, what intelligent workflows, what sits underneath that? What are the actual processes that AI will be doing? To get there, how are we going to train it? So one thing that came up from the clear plan was the cash flow part of it. This is where AI as a co-pilot helps. So using AI as a co-pilot is where you have that back and forth with the AI. You're using ChatGPT, for example, using Claude. You have that back and forward conversation. It's not doing something completely autonomously. That will build the trust, but it'll also build the knowledge of can AI actually do this task well enough that it's worth the investment. So that usually will come in before you bring in anything fully automated. You want to do it in that sort of back and forth way so that you can validate it, you can train it, and you can know that it's good enough and it's worth the investment. Then beneath that, you have your integrated digital backbone. This can sound quite scary, same as the one below. Governance systems data can all sound a bit scary, but actually, especially for smaller businesses, it's really quite simple. I'll explain it shortly with an example. So we've got that integrated digital backbone, which is your systems all talking to each other. And then beneath that, you've got your strategy, and then your systems, your data and governance. Bigger businesses will be looking at more of those like audit logging, access control, whereas smaller businesses, SMEs, this is what systems do you have in place, what data is held where. So then once you have this big picture idea, you've got the overall end goal, you've worked backwards, you've gone, okay, to sit underneath this, we'd need AI doing these processes. To get the trust for the AI to do that process, we'll have these automated tasks and we'll have AI as a co-pilot in the meantime. We'll have to have these systems in place because we need the automations to sit on top of the integrated systems. We'll need AI to be interacting with the good quality layer of data. And then ultimately, what strategy does this all sit under? What does that strategy look like? And then you're building up. So you design down, And that's how you get to the sort of strategy. You're working backwards from the future. And then you're building up over time. So you're building, okay, we build in that data layer. Okay, let's just make sure our systems all talk to each other. Let's make sure our systems are AI ready. That basically meaning, is there a way for AI to interact with this at all? That could even be, is there an AI within the program that we're using, like HubSpot or something like that, or Notion? There's a native AI within that. Depends what your goals are. Then you're looking at integrating your systems. Then you'll be looking, okay, what are the automations we can do? So data from here needs to go in there. Nothing to do with AI, just data moving from one place to another. That's usually ideal because it's logical. There's no risk when it comes to automation. Where there's AI, there's a lack of determinism. Where there's automation, it's completely deterministic. It's all logic based. And then AI as a co-pilot. So using it like you would ChatGPT, having those back and forward conversations, building that in. And then once you know that AI as a co-pilot works and you've validated that, then you can bring it in to do intelligent workflows. And that is where you have AI acting with automation. So you have autonomous AI. So it's doing full tasks for you. And then you can just be that human review at the end. And ultimately, that leads to this secure AI driving business outcomes. So I'm going to go for a couple of case studies in a sec. But before we do that, I would like you to place yourself on that scale. So back to the Menti. This will be the last one. Is I've kind of tried to do the stages before you get to that point. So you have the stages 1 to 4. So that bottom layer, we're thinking about AI strategy, governance, and data. You've got that second stage up in the pyramid. We have connected systems, structured data flows. Third layer, we're using automations and we're using AI as a co-pilot. Final layer, AI is working autonomously across the business. And then I've also got the stages before that, if you haven't quite reached that point, which is we barely understand what AI can do for us, and we've touched the surface, tried a couple of tools. Right. The main ones that we're getting in at the moment, we barely understand what AI can do for us. We've touched the surface. We're thinking about AI strategy. Those are all of the ones so far, all fall within those categories. So early days. Early days. We'll wait for a couple more to come through. Okay, we've got one that's come in with automated operations and using AI as a co-pilot as a tool. Nice, really cool, really exciting. And then just some more coming in those early stages. So those that are definitely in the early stages, trust me, you're not alone. Pretty much all of the ones coming through except one have said we barely understand what AI can do for us, or we're in that really, really early stages before getting on the pyramid. Cool. So I'm going to try and make this as clear as possible by using some examples. I've used some examples previously because I think case studies are really important and we can't think too theoretically about it all. Um, so I'm going to go one case study for a really big business and then one case study for a small business, and then hopefully that will help out. So this is one of our clients. There are 80 sites across the country, so they're a really, really large client of ours. And they came to us and they were like, we really don't know where AI fits in our business. We're not sure. Like we know we have so much manual effort, but we're not really sure if AI even fits. We don't know. We don't get it. And so we went through our discovery process with them and we looked at that end goal. We looked, okay, what is AI actually going to do in your business? Where do you really need humans? They had loads of sites, so they were a service based. So actually, humans stayed really, really involved in this. It was the head office task that we looked at that we were like, okay, this could be very much an AI, a call for AI. So what we did was we looked at their processes, worked our way down the pyramid, and we noticed that their core system that they were using across all of their sites was not integratable with anything, and it wasn't even serving their current usage. it was really, really hard for them to use, but they just kind of stuck with it because they had no reason to change really. It was causing a lot of manual effort, but they were okay with that. But then once we mapped out our plan moving forward, it became obvious that through the AI strategy and the business strategy, that core system needed to change. So that prevented those data in silos, because that's the worst thing for AI is data to be trapped in some sort of system that literally can't be taken out of. The way to check for that is, does this system have APIs? So that's one thing to look at. Does this system have APIs? Can we connect it? So we changed the core system, centralized data flows and integrations across 5 systems, got that sort of digital backbone together, and now we've brought in 2 finance automations. Automations only because there's no need for AI to be involved in it. It was very logical. And this saved hundreds of hours per month from the manual efforts of the old system and just transferring data around. And the first automation that we've built for them in finance is estimated to be saving them 80 hours per week. So large businesses, there's a lot more work that goes into that first layer, making sure the systems are right, systems are integrated. Reason being is usually they're not. And also that gap and the amount of efficiency that can be found is huge. But let's now go into a smaller case study, a small consultancy. So they're a team of 6, and their organization was essentially like a massive knowledge base and also like having meetings on behalf of their clients and litigation and things like that. And they were just overwhelmed. They were literally getting hundreds of emails a day because they were resources, information, advice, etc. So what we did, we looked at their end goal, worked backwards, and all of their information sat on SharePoint. Pretty much all of it sat within SharePoint. So actually, that systems layer, we didn't need to do anything, and that will be the case for most small businesses out there right now. Is that actually you don't need to do much around those initial systems. You need to validate, okay, can we connect with it? But actually, that's pretty solid. The data in there just needs to be correct. And because you'll only have 1, 2, 3 systems, them being connected, yep, that's relatively straightforward usually. Sometimes they don't even need to be connected if it's for them, they had a separate HR system and that was fine. There was no need for them to really be connected for the use. So then we could go pretty much straight into the AI and automation. So we built this really lean AI roadmap. We did 2 small data automation projects. What they actually looked like was it was just organizing data and redacting data and naming files according to what folder they've been dropped into. And then we just finished our first AI project, which allows them to do AI search of all of their thousands of documents. Then we're going to be looking at doing email draft replies so that people email as a draft reply. Already, without the AI involved, there's going to be estimated savings of 40% of their team's time. Once we bring in AI to be answering these questions, and we're also going to be bringing in for their meetings, like meeting notes and the sort of some automation around meeting notes, there'll be a ridiculous amount of savings, probably at least 50% across the team. So if you go away and have a think about it, don't literally go away. If you look now at your business and you look, okay, what does it look like down the road? Then work back from that point and say, okay, do we have the right systems in place? What jobs will, just admit someone, what jobs will AI be doing? Okay, what do we need to train AI to do in the meantime? And work backwards and then start building from the ground up. That will create your roadmap moving forward over the next couple of years. Use success metrics, build trust within the system. So using tools that can surface that information. It doesn't need to be bespoke. It can be very simple, looking at the tools that are out there that suit your need, but doing it from a needs basis, not a this is what people in our industry sometimes use, from a needs basis. So you know why AI fails, you know the stages, and you've seen 2 cases of it in practice and a few other examples along the way. So with the right time, so putting maybe 3 hours aside to do this and really map it out, you will gain so much clarity. Put your problems into ChatGPT, Google, see if there's an AI out there that can solve the problems. Set some success metrics for it and see if it reaches it before you make any larger investment. Sitting down, making the time, looking at your business plan, looking at where AI sits within that plan, putting them together, you can do this. 100% you can do this. The information of what AI can do is out there. AI search makes it even easier. So now it's just applying it to your business. What do you want your business to look like? And work back from there. So if you want this done with you, for you, I'll quickly go through this. But if you want to do that, we do it all in 2 weeks at 50 Minds. If you don't want to like go through the sort of the time of going through it with your team, etc., we can do that for you. And if you need to present to a board, then that's part of what we do as well, is we will create a board ready ROI roadmap for the next few years that aligns specifically with your business plan, making sure that it delivers the return that you want. So you never have to worry about AI strategy again because we can sort that all for you within a 2 week sprint. But if you don't want to do that, then I'd highly recommend you join our free newsletter. So 50 seconds every single week, we send out a bit of advice. Literally takes 50 seconds to read, and that's not even as a gag. It is 50 seconds and it's completely free. So Kira's sent a link, or you can scan that QR code. Okay, I have 2 minutes for questions. I don't know how I've managed that. 2 minutes for questions. I saw one come through on the chat, but please, 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 Kira's sent in the inquiries at fiftyminds.com email. Please email your questions in there, and I'll have a chance to answer this one question that's come through, which is which metrics do you recommend to measure success? It largely depends on the task. However, I think that time saved is a very apparent one. So for us, when we're looking at Claude Code, we're looking at, okay, how long would this have taken to develop before? How long is it taking to develop now? And looking at that difference there. So time saved is a huge one. The most important thing to remember when looking at time saved is making sure that what is the value of the task you're doing instead. So that's the actual return. Saving time, if you just did nothing with that saved time, then it doesn't really make a difference. The return is what you can do with that saved time. So that would be the best place to start, and then it would be reasonably task specific. So quality, so making sure it's producing the quality, and yeah, quality, speed, and yeah, and reduction of errors is probably a good one as well. So yeah, it depends on the task for sure. Right, I have finished with 1 minute to spare. I want to thank you all for taking time to come to an AI talk because I know that there is probably 1,000 out there happening as we speak. So thank you very much, and please do get in touch with us, with me. I'll leave this on for the last 30 seconds, but yeah, sign up to the email newsletter or drop me a message in the inquiries page, and we can have a chat, and I can try my best to help you out of any questions that you have. Thank you so much.